Hey guys, it's February 7th, 2017. It's a Tuesday, so the Senate voted
on the confirmation hearing of Betsy Devos. She was up with Donald Trump's pick for
Secretary of
Education. And she had a lot of opposition, mostly because of her stance for school choice and vouchers. And she has pushed for that, and I think she and her husband even started a charter school. And the teachers' unions are very much against school vouchers or school choice.
Right.
Now, I am not a particular fan of any billionaires in general. But the one thing I can say is that I am for school choice. But first of all, what was historic about this is that the Senate has never had to call on a vice president to
break a tie
because 2 Republicans voted against her. So
I'm guessing
on this vote, the yeas are
Pence
50,
right there.
the nays are 50. The Senate being equally divided, the Vice President votes in the affirmative and the nomination is confirmed.
President,
Surprise, surprise, surprise.
I move to reconsider the vote on the nomination.
This is so...
Question is on the motion to reconsider.
I move to table the motion to reconsider.
Question is on the motion to table. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes appear to have it. The ayes do have it. And the motion to table is agreed to.
Pass unanimous consent, the mandatory quorum call be waived.
they had like this all-night visual or whatever to because they were so against her, because right now everything that you touch that's a sacred little crack cow, everybody is just freaking out about. I mean, they're going into like protest freak out mode, and I was thinking about it today. Why? It's because for the past 8 years under Obama, the liberal children and progressive children have been whining and throwing temper tantrums and just been giving candy and cookies and
they're
cake
safe spaces.
And they're so used to always getting their way that when you tell a child, no, we're going to go this direction, they literally break down on the floor. We saw Opie, and I don't know if you saw that one where the little kid in Andy Griffith's show, Opie has a friend, and his friend's has this really expensive bike, and he's talking about allowances, and Opie's working hard to earn his allowance, and the kid's like, allowance is an allowance, you're supposed to be allowed to have it, okay? And he's like, he tries to teach Opie to do temper tantrums and things like that.
Yeah, and you can imagine, if you haven't seen the episode, and Andy's reaction.
It doesn't work, obviously. So you see everywhere all these temper tantrums, and never seen adults act this way ever. I mean, all the way up to the President of the United States, the former President Barack Obama.
We want to get to a better part of this story here about Congressman Massie, but before we do, Lee and I mean, just so you guys can know where we are at on this, we do not believe in public education. We believe in private education. I think that every child's education is responsible of the parent and the family, and then anybody else that can't afford it, it's the responsibility of churches. And so then the kids and charitable organizations and things like that. So that's where we are at on that. However, within the system that we have, working with where we are at, Leah and I can give you our official stance is that if you have a child and money is going to be funded and flooded to a certain school, you should have the right to choose where your child goes to school and where that money goes. It should not go to your local just public school that's failing.
Teachers are so upset about this.
Think about it if you lived in an inner city. And you're a young black kid, and all these liberals pretend to be, pro whatever, and they're getting the worst of education, and you're saying that those kids have to stay in those inner city schools and they can't go somewhere else. You don't make any sense, because you're actually not thinking about other people. You're just thinking about yourselves and lining your pockets.
Jobs and keeping the public system going. And I have a whole
the public school system needs to collapse.
And I would really love to do a video for you guys on the foundation of the public school system. It's compulsory for a reason. They force people for a reason. And in the state of Ohio, our Supreme Court in Ohio has actually ruled that property taxes for public education is actually illegal, but they still do it anyways because there's no other solution. But Thomas Massie, one of our favorite
He's our adopted congressman. He's a little bit south of us. We're in Ohio and he's for Kentucky, but...
Yeah, so Representative Massie introduces the bill to abolish the Federal Department of Education. It's actually unconstitutional, by the way.
It is.
So today, Representative Thomas Massie introduced H.R. 899, a bill to abolish the Federal Department of Education. Oh, and I love what he says actually in the beginning. He's like, it just says one sentence. It's one sentence long. The Department of Education shall terminate on December 31st, 2018. That would just be awesome.
Hallelujah.
And what that does, it doesn't mean that the public school system would disintegrate.
No,
it
that
means
has nothing to do with
federal involvement in education.
Every state is sovereign. We are a republic. Every state controls their education. There's no federal anything when it comes to controlling education. That's why we got Common Core and all you parents coming home with your kids are coming home with homework and you're just pulling your hair out like, I cannot figure this out. And you're going on to Facebook asking your friends how to figure out your kids' homework.
Massie added, unelected bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. should not be in charge of our children's intellectual and moral development.
Right.
States and local communities are best positioned to shape curriculum that meet the needs of their students. Schools should be accountable. Parents have the right to choose the most appropriate educational opportunity for their children, including homeschool, public school, or private school.
Kapow.
For years, I have advocated returning education policy to where it belongs, the state and local level, said Representative Walter Jones, an original co-sponsor. DC bureaucrats cannot begin to understand the needs of schools and its students on an individual basis. It is time that we get the feds out of the classroom and terminate the Department of Education. The Department of Education began operating in 1980. On September 24th, 1981, in his address to the nation on the program of our economic recovery, President Ronald Reagan said, as a third step, we propose to dismantle two cabinet departments, energy and education. Both secretaries are wholly in accord with this. Some of the activities in both of these departments will, of course, be continued either independently or in other areas of the government. There's only one way to shrink the size and cost of big government, and that is by eliminating agencies that are not needed and are getting in the way of a solution. Now we don't need an energy department to solve our basic energy problem. As long as we let the forces of the marketplaces work without undue interference, the ingenuity of consumers, business producers, and inventors will do that for us. Similarly, education is the principal responsibility of local school systems, teachers, parents, citizen boards, and state governments. By eliminating the Department of Education less than 2 years after it was created, we can not only reduce the budget, but ensure the local needs and preferences rather than the wishes of Washington determine the education of our children. And then there's co-sponsors, Justin Amash, Jason Chavez, Matt Gates, Congressman Jody Gates, Walter Jones, and Representative Paul R. Labrador. And the Fed Ed.
I like that.
Hashtag. So
that is fantastic.
On the one hand, if you're going to have public education, at least do the vouchers. I hate the idea of property taxes and things like that. It's just welfare for middle class people.
Yeah.
It's like food stamps.
Every single person that lets their child go to public education, you are on public assistance. Whether you want to view that as a good thing or a bad thing, you just need to accept it. The public assists you in your life.
Most families of
so don't go knocking other people on welfare because you on it.
Get like $300 a month for food.
$10,000 in Ohio, roughly. It costs $10,000.
$30,000
a year to educate a child. Leah and I were homeschooled on and off. Right, but the years we've added it up, and the years that we were not in public school, we saved the public school system like, I don't know, $130,000. Okay, so yeah, just saying. That's all I have to say about that. Sorry, it's a whole nother story, but we're super excited. Go, Congressman Massie. We are behind you 100%.
Hashtag.
Yeah, this is Leah Michelle for Resistance Chicks signing off, where it is not a conspiracy theory if it's the truth. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Resistance Chicks and Mass Faith 3, and find us on Facebook.
Turn this into a rap at the end or
where
something?
we can interact with you on a daily basis. Michelle wants to come to you in your faces.
Stop right now. Just go stop the
white girl can rap. Whatever.
Was cold all alone, no place for home every day, so afraid, but you call my name.